Everyone knew of the growing unkindness between Reverend Storr and Francis Cartwright, but no one foresaw that it would end in brutal murder. I am but a humble maid from Market Rasen, but I have been asked to tell the tale, because it was my scream that stopped the murder in his tracks on that terrible August morning in 1602. It all started on the Sabbath day at St Thomas's Church, when quarrelling broke out between the lords of the town and the townspeople over the commons and liberty in the town fields. The Reverend Storr took offence at this, chastising the town for such unruliness in the house of God, and moreover on a holy day. When asked to speak his mind on the matter, Storr did not side with the lords either. This greatly angered young Francis Cartwright, only son and heir to one of the same lords of the town. I do recall how Cartwright jabbed a finger at the Reverend and mocked.
The priest deserveth a good fee, he speaketh so like a lawyer.
The Reverend turned the other cheek at this, who did not know of Cartwright's hot stomach and hastiness, but to no avail. The next day Cartwright started the quarrel anew in the marketplace for all to hear, and his speech was full of rage.
You scurvy, lousy, paltry priest! Whoever should agree with you is a rogue and a rascal, and I will cut his throat, tear out his heart, and hang his quarters on the maypole.
Reverend Storr, fearing for his safety, sought the protection of the magistrates, but they would not act before their next quarter session. The following Sabbath the Reverend took to the pulpit and preached a sermon that Cartwright, fraught with rancour and malice, took as purposely spoke against him. After that, it is my firm belief that the young Cartwright more and more thirsted for revenge. A week later the Reverend was out walking alone at the south side of the town. At about 8 o'clock in the morning, Cartwright saw his chance, hurried to a cutler shop and took out a short sword. He hasted to the muddy path and soon overtook the Reverend. Double-armed with force and fury, Cartwright abided no parley, but straightway cut the Reverend's left arm almost off. He followed with 2 mortal wounds to his arm and a frenzy of other cuts. 24 was the final count. And into this bloody scene I stumbled on my way to work. My screams at that terrible sight shook Cartwright from his frenzy, and he quickly fled. The Reverend Storr was yet living, wallowing in the mire, with his blood so extremely gushing out. He was taken to the house of the parish constable and visited by a bone setter and the best surgeons around. He languished in very great pains from Monday morning till the next Sunday, after midnight. I do recall it was a change of the moon. On that night, his life ended. His poor widow, with 4 children and another one on the way, must now depend on the charity of the town, as 'tis known the Reverend died in debt. And as for Cartwright, he was caught and taken before a magistrate, but was allowed a very slender bail, which was all he needed to flee to France. I am much relieved that he is far off from this town, having witnessed his viciousness and been forced to relive it often in my dreams. But I now hear Cartwright's father is asking for a pardon from the king. I fear this is not the last we have seen of Market Rasen's murderous devil.
Francis Cartwright was indeed pardoned by the king and returned to Lincolnshire to settle at Nettleton. His violent temper returned with him though, and in 1611 he fatally wounded a Mr. Riggs of Grantham, again in a quarrel. He was convicted of manslaughter and imprisoned for 1 year.